My name is Philip Boyd. This is my sign name. My job here at Bridges really focuses on being the youth services manager and really focusing on our Little Aces program. And that's such an amazing program. So I teach parents sign language and how to communicate with their deaf and hard of hearing children. We focus on 0 to 5 years old, but we also have camps that older children can come to as well. They can also come as individuals to learn sign language as well. If they have a friend or a sibling who happens to be deaf or hard of hearing as well, and I really enjoy that. Because so many parents tend to listen to the wrong side of the story. They tend to be told that they need to go and get cochlear implants, practice lip reading and speech and oral, and they never get a chance to hear the other side. They're told to normalize their children, but you can't. It's important that you accept their deafness and accept them as they are. And my goal is to teach parents how to communicate through American Sign Language or ASL. And it's been very successful. And I've helped build relationships with those parents and hearing in children. Deaf and hard of hearing children rely on a lot of visual cues. They can't hear, and they would miss a lot of stuff if they tried to hear. But once they can see it and take it in that way, it's really improved their communication skills. It's broken down those barriers. And I'll tell you, research has shown that early access to sign language has improved their English skills. And it's a very rewarding work. Yes, I was born deaf, but we don't know the cause. My parents tried to find a way to quote unquote normalize me. They took me and I had surgery to have my adenoids removed. They thought it helped, but it didn't. They put me in an oral school, and again, they listened to the wrong side of the story. But eventually, we found out later when I got into Gallaudet University, I got my first exposure and experience with sign language, and I fell headfirst in from there. I really enjoy getting to chat and connect with the deaf community. They have their own culture, they have their own ways of communicating. We have lots of fun together, and I feel comfortable there. And I know how to communicate, but past experience that I had in high school, I was so lonely. Hearing people, they tried to do what they could. They said, "Hi, how are you? I'm fine. How's your family?" But then they would start chatting, and I felt left out. But here in the deaf community, we all sign, we can discuss lots of things, and it's really amazing. And that's one of the reasons why I enjoy being in this community. I want hearing people to recognize that deaf people have their own culture, they have their own language, they can have a job. And I don't want them to think that deaf people can't. They can't work. They only take funding from the government. I used to work for the government in the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service. And there was a person that came up to me and asked me, "You're deaf. How do you get to work?" And I told him, "I ride on a scooter." And, obviously, I was joking. I can drive. And he was like, "Oh, you can." That's just one example of many things that hearing people don't know that deaf people can do. Deaf people can become doctors, engineers, a variety of different things. They can be poets, they can even be president. The only thing that they can't do is hear, period. My goal is to help hearing people realize that deaf people are individuals. They have their own feelings, they have their own challenges and frustrations that they face, and that they're the same as hearing people. That deaf people have their own language, their own culture, and they can feel comfortable socializing and associating with them. And that they should learn to sign, and they can feel that thrill of getting to sign with a deaf person and communicate with them. They don't have to say I'm sorry and feel bad that they can't sign. It's not that we can't communicate. We can write back and forth, we can text, we can use the video phone. We can still communicate with them with no problem at all. So I really enjoy my work here at Bridges. When Nancy offered me this job, I thought, okay, I'll get involved in it, but I really just fell head first in from there. I realized that a lot of parents needed this. They weren't aware of uh, the culture and that they really needed to communicate with their own children without those barriers and frustrations so that their children don't experience language deprivation. My primary focus is to teach the parents so that they can take the right time to do exposure involvement with that ASL. And 0 to 5 years old is the perfect time because they're in their formative development years. And really, once they start learning from there, it's easy for them to communicate from then on out. We moved here in about 2011, and I heard about Bridges DHH. We came in, and my wife got involved working as an interpreter. We came to events and started getting more and more involved. Sometimes they would ask me to teach sign language classes, and I felt kind of nervous about it at first, but I took it, and I got more and more involved, and it's been like that ever since. And Bridges DHH is just so important for the deaf community, an important place to be involved in. One time when we made a reservation at a motel, we told them we were deaf, and they said, okay, that's fine. We got there, and they told us, come here. And they showed us to our room. We walked in, and they gave us a handicap suite. It had the metal bars, the railings. We told them, we're deaf. We don't have wheelchairs. I'm normal. Like, I can use a regular bathroom. I don't need the railings around the toilet. I'm deaf. It's fine. We can go into a new suite. We don't have a wheelchair or anything like that. We can go into a regular room. It's fine. They're like, do you have a hard time getting up? Do you have a hard time moving around? We told them, no, 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 we're fine. I would really appreciate more information about the programs that Bridges DHH offers. Little Laces, adult education and outreach, empowerment program. They're just wonderful programs. Really encourage you to give and support this wonderful organization. I know that you will find this truly rewarding to help and to help those who need it and be aware of deaf people and be involved and, how figure out ways to meet their needs, whether it's socially, economically, financially, educational. It's very important. It's a very important asset.